Tanner boys, all good?
Good, mate.
Decent, I think.
Well, I was going to say let's wait and review that later. Oh, wait and review. What a week! What a difference a few days make. The last podcast was kumbaya around the campfire, happy clapping, everything was great. I blame you, Tam. It's your fault. It's your fault, and the red kickback and felt bad. And here we are, a week later, and I don't know if it's going to be cathartic, if it's going to be a therapy session. I don't know what one it's going to be, but any of my enthusiasm has been sucked completely and utterly out of me. Hopefully you can revive me. Tam, you managed to make me a happy clapper after the last one. Let's see if you can revive it this time.
I don't want to suck it in at you, man. Fucking hell.
Well, no, anyway, no again. No again. Tam, what's been happening anyway?
Not much, mate. Not much. Just didn't get up to Perth. I actually didn't go to the game on the Wednesday either, so I've been firmly on
Class.
the settee couch. Why do I
Settee?
call it
Settee?
Is that a West Coast thing? I don't know if people call it a settee, but there you go.
More south of the border, call it a tea, is it not?
I don't know why I said it. I kind of disgusted myself there, so like, it's fine.
Oh well.
Yep.
I never thought that would be how we'd start the podcast, but there we go. What do you call your couch? There's no answers on the postcard. Kev, what's been happening?
I've depressed myself. I've been to both games, home to Kilmarnock and away to Perth. And all I can say is the football was mediocre in both games, but the day out on Saturday was good.
The football from the start of the second half, from minute 45 until probably, when did we bring Benny on?
68, I think.
Maybe 70 minutes.
Aye.
Was some of the worst football we've served up in under any manager at any point, even worse than what we've seen under Levine. We were absolute dog shit. We could not touch the ball. I think we'd made 300 passes or something like that, and we finished with less than 30% possession or something like that for probably the first time in a long, long time. It was some of the worst stuff we've seen, and somehow we managed to win. So I don't know if that's good, bad, and different. We should be happy. So all the stuff that we moaned about playing well and no winning, saying about Aberdeen not playing well but picking up points, it's a good habit to have, I suppose. But
the mad thing is Benny started, so that shows how good the first half was.
Oh, did it? Oh, there you go. Anyway, that shows you where we're at then. But we'll look over both games, talk about where we are, where we lie. We obviously have the European fixture at Tynecastle on Thursday. Then we have a trip to Ibrox on the Sunday. And then we've got 10-day break before we play Celtic, Aberdeen. And we must play someone in between in Europe, don't we? Rouge. So a trip to Belgium sandwiched in between. Sound good, boys?
Sounds good.
No, the next 5 games don't, to be honest. The next hour might be all right.
Trip to Bruges will be good.
Where are we starting first? We talk about, before we came on, the Night Hearts have announced when their AGM is and released their accounts. Are we dissecting? Are we discussing? Is there anything that jumped out to you, stuck out to you?
To me, for me reviewing it, there's not really much that you can dissect from it that wouldn't be what you would expect from it, if I'm being honest. I think the fact that we never got European football, group football last season was always going to have an impact on year figures. If you consider 2 years ago, we did get group football. Last year we didn't. It was always going to be a little bit of a drop, plus when normal sort of usual year-on-year increase in salaries and everything else that goes with it. I didn't really see anything that was too out there. It was what I expected to see, if I'm being honest.
It's something we knew already, but it really sticks out for me is just how bad we are at player transfers, making money on players. Like, that could be so much better if we were actually making some money on players.
I've said it before I used the example in our community chat. £4,000 a week is our wage cap. Yeah, it can be more than that on bonus or whatever it is, but it's around about that figure is the basic salary, and then it can be topped up with different things. You do that over a year, it's like not even £250,000 investment in a player or whatever it is. Yeah, over a 3-year contract. And then you're saying to someone that comes and chaps your door, oh, I want £5 million, £10 million for a player or whatever it may be. It's like, well, you don't value him that way yourself. You don't even value him over £1 million because the contract's not even worth £1 million. It's like you said, if you try to sell a classic car or a nice watch or whatever, and you only spent a couple of £100 on it, but you want thousands of pounds on it back, it becomes difficult in that market. So player sales has always been something we've struggled with. I know that Aberdeen are the example to look at. They seem to make it work. They do pay considerably more than us, as I think Joe Savage alluded to in his recent open goals. Actually, that was fun. How much of an absolute sap is he? Remember we used to sit and talk to him, mate. He was actual sound as anything and looked like a proper dude. Now he's greeting and telling everybody he eats korma.
We actually got called out for that on Twitter or something. It's like, you're going to try and back him up now this time? And I was like, nah.
He said he was a Pisces or something. They dropped this star sign and said he was going to jump on a supporters bus. I was like, get this guy, delete your episodes, man, get that in the bin. What an absolute sausage. Yeah, but that made me laugh too. I'm annoyed. I'm in a bad mood, as you may have probably guessed pre-recording. We're so
on that basis, like, just put a public service announcement out. Take everything Corbett says with a pinch of salt tonight. Like.
No, we went for like cash cows and begging to stay afloat, having to raise X amounts of money in weeks to keep the gates open and all that stuff. To now, I think someone added it up in one of the bits. We've had something like nearly £30 million in donations. We've got £17 million that's came in for the Foundation of Hearts or whatever. And we're just happy to write that off year after year as if, it was cool. Well, we made an operating loss this season, but it was all right because next season we've got the hotels money and we'll have European group stage football. We've become so nonchalant where this money's going. What are we getting back for it? Are we happy just to see that money filter out the door with no real indication as what we've invested it in, where we're getting our money back? We've bought a hotel that'll make, or built a hotel that'll make us money. Did any use?
How much money did we spend on it?
Well, exactly. How much have we spent on it? Who did we tender to do the project? Did it come in budget, under budget, over budget? Like, we're fan owned. We own the football club. We never had any say in those decisions, none whatsoever.
Still don't.
So, like, the books are as healthy as they've probably ever been, given where we're at and given how other clubs operate. We're probably they're boasting about revenue being up and all that sort of stuff, which are all good things, but mixed in there are donations. I think we've taken or tendered another loan to Ambudge, which I think they're happy is going to be paid off by June of next year type thing. No, I just the sort of, we're so nonchalant about our money, and we just keep saying, "Oh, we're well run off the park." Well, are we? Are we actual? Genuinely? Like, seriously, are we? It feels like we're better, 100% better run than we were under Romanoff or Pieman, and we're in a much stabler financial footing. But what happens if James Anderson stops Keener's money? Would they give us in the books this year? It's just short of £5 million.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're already got an operating loss. So we take his donation out, and then they say, "I know," but they always get told how much they're getting, so they kind of know roughly what's going to be there and all that stuff. I get all that stuff, but again, are we happy just to watch that money fritter away?
It feels like his money is effectively blocking, or it's like a dam at the moment, and it's stopping all this money from actually leaving the club. I would rather be in a situation where we go, actually, this is what we made, and we got this money from Anderson or whichever benefactor, and this is where we sit now. It just seems that we're always, as you rightly say, we're always going, I will be fine because we get this. That money's not always going to be there.
I think it's the transparency bit, and I'm not wanting forensic accounting details. I didn't even want half of us to have a voice in it because we're mental, and I don't want to have a voice in it either because my voice will be stupid. So I fully trust them to make the decisions that they feel are right for the club. I'm not even questioning that. It's just transparency as to, well, we are meant to be the owners of the football club. The whole point of it was that there won't be any surprises in the closet. There wouldn't be anything done in the dark. We'd know exactly where it was so that we could be part of the process. Right now, we don't. Like, I don't know where James Anderson's money goes. I don't even know. James Anderson might say, you get X amount of money per year, but you have to do X, Y, and Z, or I won't give you it. Fine, let us know. Let us know. I've said it before. I said I don't like the clandestine nature of the ladies' team. I understand that we need it. I understand that it's the right thing to do. I get all that 100%. I'm there. I've been to many of the ladies' games. We've had ladies players on the podcast, and I'm a massive supporter of it. I understand why it's there. How much does it cost? How much does it make? What does it take up in terms of the books? Are we, and let fans decide if it's something that they're happy to continue to put money in. If James Anderson's saying we get a couple of £1 million a season, but it has to go to the ladies' team versus could we invest it in the academy? Could we upgrade the stadium? Could we make these things better? Again, we might already be doing all that with Anderson's money. It's just I would prefer there to be a bit more transparency as to where the money's going rather than having to wait for the accounts to be shared and then also the AGM where we'll get none of the questions answered. They'll take the microphone off you, they'll turn you off and all that sort of stuff is what they do. So the books are what they are. Just let's have a wee bit more transparency.
Yep, agree.
Talking of the shareholders meeting, was that on the Thursday after the Kilmarnock defeat, or was it the Tuesday before it?
After.
Okay. So for anybody that's not seen or thing with it, anything that jumped out at either of you two from the notes and the minutes from the meeting?
A few things.
Didn't see it, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I shared it in the community chat. There's a few things that come up and I thought were a wee bit strange, if I'm being truthfully honest. It was like they included it just to effectively try and polish a shite. That was the way it felt. Put a nice big bow around a big shite. There's a lot of things I didn't agree with, if I'm honest, and I think you called them out when I shared that on Saturday morning.
So I think Ann Budge answered and fielded some questions where she says that the CEO looks after the football side of the business and she looks after the business side of the business, which isn't technically true given that all football decisions are voted on by the board. So therefore, as we just spoke about there, the business decisions can be made in her world, but yet sacking Stephen Naismith, appointing Neil Critchley or whoever it is are done by majority votes on the board. So technically she does have a part to play in the football side of the business. I find it astonishing that the club openly say that they rely heavily on Jim Jeffries and Gary Locke. It absolutely blows my mind. Nothing against either. Jim Jeffries is an absolute hero. He's a legend of the football club, but the last couple of things Jim Jeffries have touched with the club, apparently he was the one that helped broker the Aaron Hickey deal, and that the much maligned Aaron Hickey deal where we got a set 6-figure sum rather than a percentage selling on fee. And then obviously whatever guidance they're taking in the Stephen Naismith situation, the Neil Critchley appointment thing or whatever. And obviously Gary Locke, who I think I don't know how that impacts what he wants to do with the Foundation of Hearts, because obviously he's one of the nominees for getting on the board if he's giving football and insight and decision making advice to the football board. I don't know what that does for him joining the FOH, but that was something that stood out as a wow. How are we still where we're at football decision side of it?
The other thing I found strange about that is you're talking, and you're right, Jim Jeffries will go down as another legend in the club, as will Gary, but these are guys who really haven't been involved in football for a number of years. Why are we still going to guys like that? I know they understand the game and they've got a good eye for players and such like, and no doubt there'll be other questions that will be asked of them. But why are we going down that road? Why we, I just it's that element of legacy of it was good when he was here. Let's continue that kind of run. Are we no further on from that? I feel we are.
Well, the devil's advocate hanging with Tam says that we just spoke there about transparency. So maybe this is why Bloom and Star Lizard and Jamestown Analytics are in the picture now, is that the club and we said this when the sort of Tony Bloom stuff started to surface, is maybe the club have put their hands up and said, look, if you want to take it from where we are to being something different, something bigger, it's out of our ballpark. We're going to need some help. We're going to need some proper people and proper structures in the background to help, and that's maybe what's led us to Bloom.
Yeah, I hope that and the impact having a sporting director that doesn't eat Korma as well might help, and Jones coming in might also have an aspect. Obviously, he's had roles that are high level type thing. I know Savage also had like head of recruitment and stuff, but he seems to coming in with a bit more backing, a bit more data driven as well. So seems to be the way they're going. And I just hope that's sort of announced sooner rather than later. Obviously, I'm saying I didn't see the stuff. I did read that on Saturday, actually. I lied to you at the start. But Budge talked about the whole analytics company coming in, advising it's not going to be the big donation that was maybe reported in a way as well. But I think that might... What? Investment. Donation, sorry. Yeah, you're right. We just talked about donations too much there that I got confused. But, I suppose it's just to wait and see what that looks like once it's finally announced. We'll find out a bit more of the details, really.
What I'm finding very strange is there's a rhetoric at the club where Andrew McKinley said it a couple of times now, and now Anne Budge has repeated it, where they're saying, the talk and speculation in the media isn't helping the deal, whilst they continue to speak
in the media
about the deal. I'm like, what are we doing? So that for people that don't know, Anne Budge basically said that yes, there's someone in the background, but all of the media attention's not been helpful, that there is no £10 million investment. They don't know where that figure came from. There's going to be no money invested. She also essentially said that she has no plans to sell her shares. So any investment or buying of shares or purchasing of shares by Tony Bloom will have to be done through the vehicle of the Foundation of Hearts, which opens up a whole can of worms as to where do we go, because Chelsea, for example, are a mess behind the scenes, and they've spent the past 5 years trying to buy or invest or get their hands on Star Lizard and what Tony Bloom has made. The idea that man that is essentially has the Midas touch will come to Hearts and stick his reputation on the line for 9,000 fans to vote on so that he can take a less than 20% share in a football club, I just don't see him taking that risk.
And do you have the trust that 90% of those 9,000 fans would actually vote for it as well?
Do I trust the fan base? No, I don't. Because I'm in the fan base too, and I don't trust myself. So I'm taking a swipe at everybody. And again, devil's advocate would say that she's being coy. She's maybe trying to. If she said that the media attention's detracting from getting the deal done, by coming out and publicly saying there's no money, there's no investment, there's not. She's maybe trying to douse the flames a bit, potentially. I don't know. But also, the cynic in me thinks, well, why would you have propped up a football club for 10 seasons, only ever really making your money back that you've gave, and then suddenly say, right, I've got a guy that's transformed Brighton on my doorstep with a analytics company that has turned and transferred football teams' funds. I'm going to walk away and miss out on the opportunity to make some money. But that's the cynic in me. That's the cynic in me. She might just do that. So I found it all a bit strange, what was said at the shareholders meeting.
I wondered if the fact that they've said this is because they don't want to be held to ransom for player purchases in January. You know, we've said it before. You know, if you come out like you've sold a player, you've got £5 million there, you then go and buy another striker, midfielder, goalkeeper, whatever it may be, and they know you've got £5 million sitting there, they'll go, well, we want 4 million. You know, we'll want whatever, they'll inflate the value of that particular individual. I wondered if that was the, again, cynical element around my brain, is she didn't want that to come out, that there was that money there for player purchases, only to, you know, be held to ransom for whoever it is that you want to bring in, be that a right midfielder, a winger, a striker, or whatever.
All of the above.
Aye, maybe. Or maybe she's setting the sort of, she's setting the mood music because of where we were at the time, you know, back bottom of the league after the shareholders meeting. Maybe knowing that actually in January we're not going to be in a position to do much movement, given how bloated the squad is. We'll have to move players on to bring players in. And then also, I have a feeling, again, the cynic in me is that they're potentially going to wait until Lauren Shankland leaves and then start to maybe look at the wage structure, you know, and not get themselves tied into bringing someone untried and tested. The January transfer window is a horrendous transfer window. Get Shankland on a new deal at 14 grand a week or whatever it is, plus bonuses, and then bring, you know, some punting that says I want 10 grand a week, and then players that are on 3 grand a week kicking off saying I want X amount of money. You know, everything that we've done's been in the public eye. So if in Lauren Shankland everybody that plays in the team of Lauren Shankland will know that what he's asking for, what he wants, and if he gets it, then the door will be rattled by everybody to say, I would want more money. So maybe it's mood music that she was trying to douse and pay it back to actually just everybody calm down a wee bit, because it's no Brewster's millions that are coming.
I'd like to think that a lot of those kind of players as well that you talk about would actually be shown the door in January and said, look, you're not part of the long-term plans for the club. You know, here's your opportunity to effectively get stuffed. Thank you very much for your input, and thanks very much for your commitment, but you're not where we're going.
He's stayed loyal to the sort of match day 15, 16. So maybe he does have plans to trim the squad type thing. But, and again, like I said, these things are always reflective of where you're at in a season. Like, for example, last year's AGM was pretty hostile at the point of where we were, because we'd lost some matches, we weren't where we wanted to be in the league, and then we were at the federation player dance where we were cheering everybody onto the room and all that, because we'd finished third and were playing decent football and where we wanted to be. So the caveat to everything that we've just said is obviously, the owner of the football club's having to go and face people on a Thursday night after we just lost at home, put us back rock bottom of the league. Maybe the mood that she was in was reflective of the mood that I'm in now. It was just that, I'm not coming into a happy clap. I'm in a bad mood and I'm going to take it out on everybody else. So fair play, Budge. I'm like that. I'm that type of megalomaniac. So maybe we're not that different after all.
The other interesting element was around the training facilities at the Oriole. That was another thing I thought was quite interesting in regards to estimated operating costs of doing what I think there was 3 different options, if I remember rightly. Looking at building your own, which sounds like a great idea and everything else, but the commitment to doing such a thing goes against what we've always been saying around improving squad. If you go and build a new training facility that costs 20 million quid, well, that's 20 million quid that could have been used on the playing surface. Do we really need that? Yeah, it's a nice to have kind of idea. But I think everybody here would say that we would rather see 10, 12, 15 million pound invested in the playing squad rather than the training facilities.
Only folk that care about us not owning our training facilities, Hibs fans. They're
Yeah,
a single
100%.
Hearts fan that actually cares about it.
Yeah, I get it in terms of it's safeguarding the club, and an aspect. One of the problems that we had when we went to administration before is we had absolutely no assets to sell. That would be players, that'd be land, that'd be anything, other than sell Tynecastle yourself. So I get it. I understand that. It's a nice to have, and it would be it's a good investment for the long term future of the club. You look at when Man City and the Sheikh Mansour took over, they didn't go splurge millions and millions on players and players and players constant and just chucked money at it. They did invest money in the playing side, but they also went and they built the academy, they improved the stadium, they improved brand Man City, they made it investable for big companies. And that would be, so I'm not against the training complex. My thing would be, well, what comes first? It's the chicken or the egg type thing. Tynecastle is a dump. And the main stand obviously is nice, it's brilliant, it's a functional space where we make money on match days and out with. But every other stand, the toilet facilities, howling, kiosks, cheap. The concourses, rubbish. You can see the internal gubbins everywhere it is. There's the Undercroft sitting with nothing there. There's no match day parking. Like, there's hundreds of stuff where actually, if there's money there to invest, where do we want to invest it first? Because if we can make the stadium a place to be outside of match days, whether it be rentable space, usable space, other things like we said, like hotels and restaurants and all that, like, do we invest in that first? And then maybe you get bigger sponsors to come. You get an Emirates or Amex, like what Brighton have, to sponsor the stadium and the spaces. Does that become the first step? And then you look to say, right, let's get a training centre. Or is it the training centre comes first because you can get somebody to sponsor that, you can rent that out, you can start to make your money from that. So I'm not overtly against the idea of it. I think I can see the logic in it. I can also see the logic in just renewing the lease at the Oriel, making it better. All Hearts fans would probably agree that our injury record feels the worst that it's been for a long, long time. Scotland went and trained at the Orion once and stopped it. They said it was a hazard to the players. It was a danger. Is there a correlation? Is it just coincidence? I don't know. So, but either or, I can see the merit in both, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer just to look at the Orium and continue to use it rather than commit those kind of figures that were originally discussed around a brand new complex and everything that comes with that. That's something you can look at as a longer term plan when you, as you rightly say, you've got bigger investment within the actual club itself, whether that be naming rights for the stadium. But someone's only going to give you those naming rights if the actual stadium is something of like major note. I appreciate it's got a grade A, whatever it is, for European football and everything, but there's a hell of a lot more that could be done on that within the stadium at this moment in time.
Yeah, I would agree. Right, we've dodged talking about football on the park for as long as we possibly can. I don't think there was anything else that came up in the shareholders meeting.
No.
That I can think of. Anyway, And the accounts, I get so bored of the accounts because, let's be honest, none of us are accountants. We have absolutely no idea if it's good, bad, or indifferent. We just have an opinion and stick to the first thing that pops into our head. Who knows if it's right, wrong, or indifferent. So it is what it is. At least we're in a position where we can dissect.
Maybe our new financial director might be able to work the numbers a wee bit better and get however it goes.
That's true. We'll put ourselves in the ring since we've got such strong opinions on it. We should go try and get the job there since we obviously know how to do it much better.
So good, fan. Exactly.
Right. Will we start with Saturday or will we dissect?
Let's do Wednesday.
Yeah.
Let's make it some form of like shit sandwich.
Okay. We'd like shit on top of shit on top of shit.
Yeah.
And then Benny Benning could be in between probably.
Aye, Benny. Well, talking of the shits, that he missed 10 days with the shit, so it all ties in. Almost seamless. Almost seamless. Well, Kev, me and you were there on Wednesday. What's your thoughts on it?
Everything in football comes back to results. There's no getting away from it. It's all a result-based business. So what will automatically steer people's opinions and thoughts on the game on Wednesday night is the fact that we got beat. Understandably, that effectively is the way that everybody will go. But I actually thought, for the majority of the game, we were the better side. We were actually moving the ball around half decently. But again, for whatever reason, the two at the back, and I've got my own opinion in regards to what that reason is, but the two at the back got absolutely ragdolled by the boy Vassell, and I can't remember what the other boy that was playing up front.
Watkins.
Watkins. The two of them. Rose needs to get, we've said it God knows how many times, he needs to get himself in the gym, go and bloody get some weights on, pal.
I'm going to shock the world of podcasting.
Holy shit.
Frankie Kent is the issue, not Kairos.
Frankie was the same.
I've smashed him. Smashed Rose for ages. Frankie Kent got ragdolled in the derby by Dwight Gill. Missed his first 4 headers. He's just nowhere near the level that he was last year.
Correct.
And I don't know if he's making people nervous but I don't know what it is about him, but he's Rose isn't the issue anymore. Kent is miles off it.
So here's a question for you. Is it not Kent and not Rose, but actually the problem is behind the two of them? Because they don't, I know Craig Gordon has had some 2 or 3 great saves over the past couple of games, but is it the fact that they feel that they can't play a ball back to him because his kicking isn't great? Is it the fact that it's just it's a total change from where they were last year? I'm starting to question it all.
The season that we played Zurich and we had the first group stage European football, we all laughed on repeat that we conceded the same goal week after week after week after week. Can anybody remember what type of goal we conceded week after week?
Big long cross into the back post, and that was the goal at the back every single time. Yeah. And who was in goals?
Exactly. We have the same nervousness at the back for conceding goals that we had in that season, and we have it now in this season. And you look at the Hibs goal, you look at the 2 Kilmarnock goals, which are essentially what they're both long throw-ins, aren't they? One we allow to bounce in the box, which crazy, absolutely bananas. But yeah, it's always balls into the box, throw-ins, set plays, whatever it is. We just have a nervousness, and I don't know if it's Craig Gordon. I don't know if it's because he's been famous for his whole career at not coming for crosses. That sounded so bad.
That's getting clipped. Because
he got some random bird pregnant or whatever it is. So clearly he's not got a problem coming for crosses. But and that's what I've said before. I don't know. I watched on Wednesday. I'm row free right behind the goals, right? I watched Frankie Kent screaming at Craig Gordon to the point he came in to the 18-yard box and was like to Gordon, calm down, geezer, is what he was saying. I could hear him. He was going, geez, calm fucking down. Because he was just punting the ball and he came in and he was like, I tell you when to give me it. I will tell you when to give me it and I'll play it. Craig Gordon put the ball down and punted it long. And he turned round and went, and Shanklin came to the halfway line and was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like that, screaming at him. Because that's not what we're, the whole point is that they're, Kent and Rowles come into the 18-yard box, you're supposed to let off, and Gordon went long. Twice on Wednesday, Gordon came rushing off his line. First time Frankie Kent or Rowles had to get in front of him and knock it out of the park. And the second time Rowles had to clear it off the line because he wasn't fast enough to come and get it. I think Vassell scores in the 6-yard box.
Turns Rowles.
I think turns Kennedy scores just outside the 6-yard box.
Yeah,
it must be about that.
So I don't know, and I hate saying it because Craig Gordon is an absolute legend of the football club. You listen to any podcast that we've ever said where we talk about Craig Gordon. He's the greatest. I think he's the greatest player to ever play for Hearts. I think he's the only true world-class player that Hearts have ever produced. I know there's arguments to have other players in there. I get all that. But he's not, he shouldn't be playing first team football. And it is my opinion. He's not the problem. He's one of many problems. He's not the glaring issue that we have because he absolutely saves us time and time again as well. But there is something about the back line that just is spooked. We went all of last season and didn't concede a goal from set play. Xander Clark played 90% of the games last season. We didn't concede from a set play. We look like we will concede from every single set play. And on Wednesday, Kev, that was the takeaway factor for me, was that you're right, results are the things that matter. We kind of let the performance go at Easter Road because it was a derby, right? So it made sense. You couldn't play the high press attacking football that we'd played against Nicosia because you can't leave yourself open in a derby, right? You can't go and get scudded because it changes everything. So I understood all of that. But the frailties in what we were trying to do was, one, if we don't play with that tempo and we don't play with that aggression, we're essentially playing the same style of football that Robbie and Naismith played, because the whole point of what took it and what we've seen better at Nicosia was that we're aggressive. We're 10 yards further up the park and we're in people's faces. We pressed as a team, we charged the goalkeeper down, we put them on the back foot. If you don't have any of that, we're playing slow, possession-based football, dominating the ball, everything that we hated in the last managers. And I think Wednesday, all the good stuff that we've seen was there. The opening goal is a perfect example of that. The way that we played, the way that we worked the movement, got the ball to where it was, and Forrest scored. There was nice intricate passing at points. There was missed chances. There was nice creativity. We've seen all of that. The worry for it is that we've said for season after season now that teams that are managed by guys that are long in the tooth in the Scottish game or understand the Scottish game, like a Derek McInnes, Stuart Ketterwell, Stephen Robinson, Tony Docherty, the guys that are been over the course in Scottish football, they know what happens. We sang "Are You Watching David Gray" when we smashed Nicosia. He was, and his plan worked. Derek McInnes would have been watching those games too, and he came to Tynecastle and said, let them have the ball for 20 minutes. In that 20 minutes, we're going to have to squeeze up the park. We're going to have to keep our lines tight because we don't want to give them space. We don't want to let them get in behind us. We want to keep them in front of us, but don't press them aggressively because they'll pop it round you. Let them punch themselves out. Then we'll go long. We'll start to look to hit Watkins or Vassell or whoever it is, and where we can win second contacts and get the ball out, to Kennedy or get it out to Armstrong and start to play and start to move up the park. They also do the dark arts, which annoys me so much because we're terrible at it. Every single time we went and pressed, foul Kilmarnock. Every single time, because that's what they did. Every opportunity they got to stay down, suck the life out of what we're trying to do. You say Hearts play with tempo. If you can't get the ball off them, how do you stop them? Build in tempo. Get the ball out of play as much as you possibly can. Stop the play as much as you possibly can. Go down. Take your time over a free kick. Take your time over a bye kick. Take your time over a foul. Suck the life out of them and leave them with the ball. Leave them in the places in the park they don't want to be. Leave it with Royals. Leave it with Kent. Leave it with Penrice. Leave it with Ogie, Forrester, whoever it is. Give it. Let them give it into Devlin because he'll give it back. That was what they did. And they did a risk and reward type thing. They were like, we might concede a goal. We might go down a goal, but we'll move back into the game. And it worked. We got McInnes. We couldn't handle it. We couldn't handle it. As soon as they started to go long, they got chances in the first half, and then in the second half, they took their chances. And when we went 2-1 down, Kev, we could still be playing now. We were never going to get back into that game. The heads had gone.
You could see it. My brother said on Saturday, actually, that we moved from Section G just to get out quickly more than anything else, but sat in the Gorgie just up from the back of where you would normally be, Corbett. And what was striking was the fact of how quiet it was. Not just in the stadium. I'm talking about within the players. There was no, Shankland, Kent, Rowles, whoever, actually going, come on, guys, let's we've got 10 minutes to go. Let's do something about this 10 minutes. It was very, very quiet. And that was, as you rightly say, that was just the fact that the heads went down and nobody was interested in doing anything. They wanted off the park as quickly as they possibly could.
Tam, we actually look at, I think we won more games away from home or the same amount of games away from home last season as we did at home. Our home form for a while has been pretty ropey. I think in the last season we've lost to Motherwell, Kilmarnock, Dundee United, St Mirren.
Yes.
Potentially. All at home. Drawn with likes of Ross County a couple of times, Livingston. Our home form's it's pretty ropey at points.
Thing is, you won your home game. Sorry, Tom. You win your home
for
games, and you're virtually guaranteed nearly fourth position.
Pretty much, yeah. We always talk about wanting Tynecastle to be a fortress. Critchley came out and said whatever he said last week. The soundbite of being our stadium, our place, our way to play, but
your picture rules.
That got shot on quite quickly in the next game.
Yeah, very quickly. Very quickly.
So it was just that. Even obviously, I was watching from home, but you spoke about how quiet it was. I could tell that. I'd take you back to 3 months ago, Corbett, when you were talking about pre-season. You were being very doom and gloom about our pre-season, but questions have to be asked about our pre-season because we don't look fit enough, or even near there.
I know, and the worrying thing was that, see, I kind of could accept if we were playing that high press aggressive football if we gassed out at 60, and we were kind of hanging on, a bit like George Burley's teams at the time, like hanging on for dear life. But Wednesday wasn't so much about gassing it as we went completely back to all of the frailties that we've seen, which cost Robbie and Naismith their job, is that they just ran out of ideas. They just ran out of ideas completely. And our recruitment has to be looked at in terms of that, is that we just don't have no options whatsoever to change the way that we play. Something that I think they'll address in January. We don't have an option to take Shankland off or to bring someone on that can do the holding the ball up and winning headers and letting Shankland be the one that feeds off the knockdowns or whatever. It's very one-dimensional in that space. We rely heavily on Forrest, Vargas, Danda, Spittle, Mackay, anybody that plays in the wide areas. We rely heavy on them and be able to come on and impact the game and change the game or change the direction in a game. And we've asked for consistency, which we've got from Critchley. He's played the same way and essentially the same 16 have just rotated in and out. And I said that on last week's podcast, which I like. A right back comes on for a right back, all that sort of stuff, which I get. But when you look at Wednesday, for example, when you are 2-1 down, our substitutions were all the same types of. We brought a right back on, brought George Grant on, like. We brought Barry Mackay on. The guys that time after time after time have done nothing to change a game. They don't change the dynamic. It was it's hard when you see it that way. Don't get me wrong. They came on against Hibs. We spoke about it. We took 2 defensive midfielders on and brought people that didn't have to sit and hold on to it, and we could go. We put Spittle and Grant in there, but on the Wednesday versus Kilmarnock, we took Spittle off and brought Grant on. We took Okokie off or Forrester off and like for like we brought Barry Mackay on. It was just the frailties of where the work that Neil Critchley's got to do in the squad was there, and I think one of the things you just nailed there is right, Tam, is the fitness is shocking. All the players look out of condition. They're obviously not unfit, but they just don't have the match sharpness or the intensity which has to be built up over weeks and months of intensive training. And I think that, actually, to go back to the other interesting point that was said at the shareholders meeting, was the fact that Neil Critchley's been moaning that he's not getting time to spend with the players because of the schedule. So the ideas and the philosophy and the things that he wants to embed with the players it's hard to do because they're only really having one full-on training session a day. The rest will be recovery and shape. So it's one of those things that Hearts fans are going to have to, myself included, we're going to have to be patient. The worry thing for us is that we are bottom of the league. Inconsistent results aren't what we need. We need results. We're a point above Hibs with a game in hand. I think we've got a couple of game in hand. Played a game more. Sorry. I think everybody round about us has a game in hand on us.
St Johnstone are the only ones or something.
Yeah.
So we've got Rangers next, Celtic and Aberdeen. They're our next 3 league fixtures.
Could see 0 points as well for that, to be honest.
Well, I'll be interested to see what we do versus in the home games. Ibrox, we already know what we're like there. It'll be interesting to see how Neil Critchley approaches those games, because there were points on Saturday where we were overawed by St Johnstone, playing in the same shape and the same philosophy, playing against Rangers at Ibrox with the crowd, an early goal. Even our best teams have been absolutely scudded and folded there. So it'll be interesting to see how he approaches these games. I've never judged any Hearts manager based on results at Celtic Park and Ibrox, but it'll be interesting to see if he's a bit more conservative or if he still has the go out and try and put them under pressure, play our game type thing. So it'll be interesting to see.
Clement needs a victory though, doesn't he? So we all come to town and roll over. And
the thing is, Kev, Korma does make a good point, because look how good Rangers have probably been in Europe compared to domestic. It's because teams are coming out and playing against them. They've been struggling domestically when the teams are set up low block, hard to beat. Are we going to? It'll be interesting to see how we actually show up, to be honest.
You look at that last European game they had. SBFC, the old Steaua Bucharest. They came out, actually attacked them for the first 10 minutes, got a clear goal as far as I was concerned. I didn't see any reason why it would actually get chopped off, but it did get chopped off. And then they went into their shell because they thought we're not getting anything here. And then all of a sudden, then Rangers scored 4? I think they scored 4 against them. So yeah, it will be interesting. Who are Rangers playing on Thursday night? They've got a game as well, haven't they? I'll find it. I've got it here. Oh, they've got Olympiacos in Greece.
Yeah.
Before a 5. I didn't realise Sundays is a 5 o'clock kickoff.
Aye, give them time to rest and recuperate.
Well,
and I'd noticed actually yesterday in the League Cup, semi-final, they were 1-0 down heading to half-time, and in a game where absolutely nothing happened in the first half, they got 8 minutes of added-on time.
Interesting.
8 minutes for the first half. It reminds me of last season when we were not like 1-0 up at Ibrox with like 10 minutes to go. We got beat 2-1.
Like 10 minutes added on as well. So
and they played 10 minutes. They played 14 minutes of added on time across first half and the second half. Incredible. I know that sounds proper tinfoil to anybody that pays any attention, but it's true. You know, absolutely nothing happened in that first half. Name me a time where you've been at a game where there's been 7-8 minutes of added on time at the end of the first half. Doesn't happen. Absolutely bananas. Anyway, so Wednesday was a disappointment, Kev. I don't think you can lay it at the feet of Critchley. I don't think. I think, like you said, you can only piss with the cock that he's got. The scars of what have been a lot of this squad as well, the core of the squad have been there from Naismith till now. You know, I think you can see a lot of the baggage, and especially Barry Mackay's and stuff like that when they come on. They're just a shell of the player that we seen when he first signed for the club. So I'm not sure we can blame. In fact, I know we kind of blame Neil Critchley for
people
Wednesday.
want to. Some people will want to. Of course they will. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It's not, you know, he's playing with effectively what was for some of it, maybe 35% of it, what was Nielsen's team. And the remainder is guys that Naismith's brought in. And again, we've already mentioned it, elements of the recruitment during the summer, for all that some have been really good. And that I'm saying Blair Spittle, Penn Rice, Boateng. Others haven't really found their feet at the club. Danda would be the obvious choice on that one.
Two of the signings we've not even seen, Kev, realistically.
Yeah, well, there is an element of that. But again,
what is the account that's absolutely ridiculous with Boateng?
The
like
Scottish flag one. I don't know. He just keeps calling me out,
man.
I don't know. Says we love him, which I'm prepared to keep.
I do love him.
Yeah, exactly.
I do love him. Boateng has been the best signing of the summer by a distance for me. I think he's an upgrade on Benny and Devlin, but Benny needs him there because Benny's the only one out of the three of them that can do what he did on Saturday.
Yeah.
In terms of being a bit more creative than the other two, but for what we ask Boateng to do, I think he's phenomenal. So whatever you're called, Scotland flag, come at me. I couldn't give a fuck. But there we go. So Wednesday was a disappointment. Hopefully it was just a blip, obviously, because we've done exactly what we needed and wanted to see, which was the next game, which was on Saturday in Perth, which is, we now have to stop calling it a bogey ground. I think it was 7 in a row or something like that. We've beaten them. It's like the 4th time in a row we've won up there or something stupid like that. So we're going to have to stop calling it a bogey venue for us. But we went and put 3 points on the board. And as we said in the intro, by playing pretty poorly, but winning, Kev.
Yeah. My old man asked me, what I thought of the game on Saturday. And as I said in the beginning, it was very mediocre. I didn't think anybody really stood out really as a player. Yes, there was definite good signs. We'll talk about it shortly, no doubt. Was Benny's performance. Sometimes you do find that he gets a bit pissed off and takes the bull by the horns at times. The unfortunate element is his decision making when he gets closer and closer to goal. As he said in his interview, is, oh shit, I'm going to have to shoot. And we all know he can't do that unless he's 3 inches off the goal line. But yeah, I think it was, at times we looked absolutely off it, big time off it, especially the start of the second half. They came out in the second half and probably dominated. I don't think it was a penalty, don't get me wrong, but they get the luck really at the end of the day, something that we have not had all season. There's been a number of occasions where we could have had penalties, but we've not had one this year. This season.
You see Sorry.
On you go.
I was just going to say, you said there was no stand-up performances, but another goal for our top goal scorer, man.
He's flying like own goal. It's unbelievable, mate. He deserves 14 grand a week. But I think to be reasoned as much as we can be, the first half, Hearts were the better side in the first half. I think that we played okay. Again, if you're looking at, we didn't hit the heights of Nicosia, which unfortunately for Neil Critch is going to be a bit of a benchmark, because we've seen what we can get out of the squad when we play aggressive, when we play high tempo. And we've not really seen that for there, but we dominated the ball. We created okay chances. Shankland missed a bit of a sitter. If we're being honest, in the first half, he probably should have scored. And then St Johnstone, is towards the end of the first half, grew back into it. Yeah, half chances, set plays, etc. I think Gordon's made a save for like a free kick type thing. So we played okay in the first half without being amazing. But what we all talk about what changes is from the start of the second half until probably we scored, we were miles off it. We just couldn't get any rhythm. We were completely and utterly spooked by St Johnstone. We couldn't get the ball back. We couldn't keep the ball when we did have it. And then a moment of magic where, I like the funny thing with Benny is he starts off facing Gordon, where he finds himself almost all of the time, and decides actually, and it's funny, all the St Johnstone players press because they're going to press because they think it's gone back to Kent or else. So they commit to go back, and he turns and goes forward, and they must think, oh, what's he then? Never done this before.
he had the same thoughts.
Exactly. And then Vargas is an enigma. I think gets a great, takes a chance and scores. But I think the next one's is just as easy a chance to score as well. And I don't understand how he's toe banged it off the keeper's
chest,
like off his chest, off his arm. I'm like, wait, what are we doing there? Like, what you even try to do? I don't know if he's tried to chip him or something, but he's like just volleyed it off the guy's upper body.
You think the technique would be the exact same what he done? Low and hard. Just put it in.
He tries, it's almost like a toe poke volley. He could have opened his side foot past the keeper, took it round the keeper, maybe even, I don't know, but I just snatched at it. And it's that enigma stuff where he needs to just learn to be a bit more composed, a bit more ice in his veins type thing. But it's never a penalty, Kev. It's never a penalty. I get annoyed with Devlin as much as everybody else does, but that's not a penalty.
So I was watching Ref Watch, or whatever they call it, on Sky Sports News this morning, and not that I've seen. I don't know if they actually even looked at the penalty in the Hearts game on Saturday. But one thing that the Baldy referee, can't mind his name, always says is around about the fact of look at the actual reaction from the players.
Aye, Mike
Dean. Look at the reaction. Now Devlin goes down. I don't know what their boy, what his name is. I couldn't tell you, but he goes down as well because the two of them are pulling at each other, but they just get up and get on with it. It's all of a sudden, I don't think the referee never seen it. I think the referee went, I seen it, but carry on. But all of a sudden he gets called, oh, you need to have a wait a minute, we need to have a check of this and everyone else. It's the scrutinisation of how VAR is actually working now is probably the biggest pain in the ass. If you just let the game go, and unless there's actually a clear and obvious, issue, you look at, I don't know if it was it Bristol City's game on Saturday where the boy actually handles it and puts it in the keeper. That's the kind of stuff that you want VAR to actually get involved in. No, the stuff that just happens every single game. It's just a 50-50. Guys try to get space. As I say, the boy's about 6'8". He goes down like a sack of spuds, but he gets up and gets on with it. There's no point, there's no time that either of them are actually even looking at the referee thinking it was a foul.
Nobody in the stadium actually thought it was a foul. That's the thing. No. It was only the person on VR and wherever they are in Glasgow or whatever that actually thought it was a...
I don't know who it was, but there was some St Johnstone fan on Twitter on Saturday night going, that is the most embarrassing penalty I've seen.
The thing is, you nailed it, Kevin, what you said. Was it a clear and obvious error?
Yeah.
No. Was he going to win that header? No, because he never went anywhere near where he fell. Like, it's re-refereeing this game for the sake of re-refereeing, and the whole point of VAR this season is that wasn't going to happen. And no one's talking about it, but we'll keep going back to it. Hearts didn't get a penalty versus Rangers in the opening game of the season, which could have changed the momentum of our whole season where we're at now for the handball with Danda and Connor Barron. But yet, every single week now, I am seeing that penalty given for other teams. And what the hell? Like, I thought we were going to be consistent. He got praised for making that decision, and yet this now all we see is penalties are given for that exact thing. So again, consistency. It was a shocker of a decision to give a penalty, to be honest with you.
What I would also just like to say is that I didn't have a beer. I only had a couple of beers actually before the game on Saturday, which was unusual for me. However, I've just realised that I didn't even know that they swapped their keepers round at half time.
I did.
Yeah, did I?
I apologise. Yeah, I apologise to everybody who expects me to get absolutely rat-arsed before a football match. I apologise profusely. I will learn from my mistakes and we'll continue with that on Thursday night.
What was it? Was it an injury, or was it just the fact from every corner he was worse than what we were speaking about Craig Gordon?
I think I've seen it on Sportshound that they said that it was an injury, but I don't know. Might have been. But I suppose then the positives, Kev, are one, Blair Spittle's corners. If we could just now train for somebody to be able to head them into the net, that would be great. That would be class.
He's got that sometimes where he does not even get past the first defender, but he's getting better. I'll give him that.
But it's the style of corner that he's trying to take. You know, it's that one there. It's drilled hard into the front post, and he's looking for Nicky Clark to do what he did. But in a Hearts jersey would be nice if we could do that. So that's
must be something they've worked on as well. Because you see the same side of Penrice, he's not got the same delivery as Spittle does, but they're trying that sort of hard in the front post, yeah.
And then the positive is how we react. We'd been very poor in the second half. We go 1-1. I think every Hearts fan on planet Earth had the same thought. Here we go. Do you know what I mean? And for us to go on and win the game and have opportunities to score further goals, and we defended pretty well. The last 10 minutes as well, although we weren't under massive amounts of pressure, but what we did have to deal with, I felt we dealt with pretty well. So there is positives in there. It's nice for Vargas to like I said, to get another goal. We just need Shanklin to score. Said in the community chat that
he's chance in the first half. I think there's chance in the first half, and there was another one last season. They both go in.
He's just trying too hard.
Aye,
I think you can see it. He's frustrated that none of the chances are falling his way. Like he's getting chances, but like, you know, he's getting half chances, and if he's managed to get a shot away, keepers are making great saves and all that sort of stuff. He's one of those ones where he's more than capable of scoring on Thursday and then scoring every game the rest of the season. Like that's what he does.
The one thing you do have to watch out for though is because of his frustration, he's picking up yellow cards. 6 yellow cards he's had this season already. Five of them in the league, one of them in Europe.
The one in Europe was an absolute nonsense.
100%.
It was absolutely ridiculous.
I mind that one.
It was the high foot
in the first minute.
Yeah,
and then the second half.
Then they did the same. Didn't they get
exactly?
Get it?
Yeah.
Consistency, Kev.
Correct.
Consistency.
Correct.
But yeah, I thought to be the resolve and the sort of dig to get the points was pretty good. It was a very positive thing to do. Like I said, playing ugly and winning is a skill, and it's a skill that good sides have, and hopefully it's one of those ones that I've said that before. I think I talked about it before about the Aberdeen results and where you're at is you walk off the park at Pittodrie as a Hearts player and look around at your teammates and be like, oh, he was 8 out of 10, he was 9 out of 10. I don't know if he's got another gear, he can't play any better than that. And we've been beat is massively demoralising. Walking off a park and going, well, he was a fucking 4, he was shite, did he even play? And we've got 3 points. That's a huge that's a huge boost to confidence, because I think, right, well, if we can get these players up to a better level, where do we go? So that's the positive. And like I said, I think you got to be respectful of St Johnstone. Got a new manager bounce as well. I think somebody in the community chat actually made a very good point, is saying that 3 points there will probably come the end of the season, when you look back at how St Johnstone progress under the new manager and where that's probably a good 3 points picked up, if you know what I mean. So yeah, poor performance from where we've seen and where we're probably capable of, but we won. And I think those 3 points, when you look at the next 3 games, are massively important to keep us there or thereabouts, because I can't see the teams round about us winning 3 out of 3. So it was pretty important 3 points.
Yep, definitely. You'll definitely have taken it before the game anyway, let's put it that way.
Aye. Right. Europe on Thursday. We seem to be using Europe as a nice distraction from our woes in the league. What do we expect, Tam, on Thursday?
I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of shouting it. Just think there'll be an extra level up from what we've played against with Minsk, Namonia, and even whoever we played in the playoff. Forgot their name already. Pilsen. I think there'll be a step up for that. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think it could be a bit of Heidenheim. Oh, no.
Hey, wait. Kev?
I don't know. I think, as you rightly said, I think there's a difference between the way in which we play in Europe against what we play, or how we play in the league at the moment. It's a distraction of sorts. The team Heidenheim, they have not won since they last played in Europe. So they played against Paphos, the mighty Paphos. That was the last time they won. They've not won in the German league for 2 months or something like that. Seemingly, there's a lot of pressure on their manager. If there's a chance that he gets sacked after another defeat at the weekend. So they might be a little bit like where we are as well. So that might be
roll up Hearts. That's what you're saying.
So it might just be a case that it's a level playing field. It's a clean slate for both of them to have a proper, a proper go at each other. So I think if we go in with a home atmosphere, and I know we always say it, Tynecastle under the lights, blah this, blah that.
Well, it's an 8 o'clock kickoff this time.
Correct. So it's an 8 o'clock kickoff.
Bevy in us.
So we get some bevy in us, but we'll still have those fans that will go, oh, the game's now too late. The 5:30 one is too early. The 8 o'clock's too late for them. So it never keeps everybody happy. Of course not. But I think yes, there'll be a tough side. They're playing the German Bundesliga. They can't be a bad team that, if they got European football from where they finished in the league set up last season. I think but from that side of things, play your own game. Why not beat them?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, actually. I couldn't care less if we get beat, if I'm being honest with you. It's the manner in which we get beat. That's what happens in Europe. I think that if we go and sit off them and try and be hard to beat, low block thing, I think that plays right into their hands. I think that's probably what they'll expect and kind of set up for. I think you go fight fire with fire. If they're going to come and gegenpress, then that's what we should probably do as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how they react to it. It's a very tight pitch and close to the park and stuff. So if the atmosphere is up and where it needs to be, although again, we've heard today that the atmosphere is going to be sucked right out of the game before the game kicks off, because there's a minute silence for the floods in Spain. So there's people that have died in Valencia or wherever in the things, which I don't have absolute all respect to them and all that sort of stuff. But again, it's the same what happened the last time, with Pilsen or whatever it was, when we did a minute silence for Sven-Goran Eriksson, which is random as hell, but there you go. So, but if the atmosphere's up and the performance is up, the players will feed off that and vice versa, and you never know. So as I said, I'd rather that we went in and had a go than try and be tactical and cautious or whatever. Because again, we're at a point now where if we can get an unexpected 3 points somewhere. We always have petrol fact or whatever they're called coming to Tynecastle, where a point or a win there is going to take us to the threshold probably where we need to be for qualifying and into the next rounds or whatever. So you think we'll go, well, we've got to lose. Let's go see what happens if we go stick our performance in. So I'm looking forward to Thursday.
I think even a point would give us like, I think it goes to a playoff and then it goes, or you can get straight through, but a point would put us in the right track to go straight through as well. So yeah,
like I said, it's more the performance.
I think so, something like that.
Top 8s are seeded and go straight through. And then I think the next group go through as well, but they're not seeded, and then the others go into a playoff and everybody else gets kicked out. I think, but I'm not sure because it's
along those lines. So you're right.
It's convoluted as anything and all over the place. But I think Thursday's an opportunity, like you said, to play without fear. You know, we've got nothing really to lose. We're not got any of the woes of if we get beat, it's catastrophic. We're kind of in that bracket in the league right now, and that's the worry for when you're down in those lower positions. When you're like 5th and 6th or whatever, and you're having a bit of a shit season, doesn't really matter. You're there or thereabouts. You lose one week, win the next. Everybody around about you does the same. But when you're at the bottom and we're sitting all watching, hoping that Kilmarnock beat Dundee so that Dundee can go bottom on goal difference, kind of tells you where you're at. You know, we've won on Saturday, but all the teams around the boot us that you want to get beat have all picked up points or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's losing in the league's a bigger problem than losing in Europe. So I'm hoping to see some exciting football on Thursday.
You've got like any massive names like we've seen before at Tynecastle when you play Fiorentina or that Turkish club or whatever.
Hat-trick. Whoever they've got that's a big name's getting a hat-trick now on Thursday, innit?
I know, fuck that. I just see they've got some boy on loan for Bayern Munich actually, so he's probably got it. There you go.
Well done, Tom. What I will say,
we got the predictions for Thursday because I'm not wasting my time doing predictions for Ibrox. It's pointless.
Sounds, I agree.
Right, go on then. Thursday, what's your prediction, Tom?
I'll be positive. 1-1.
Kev?
2-1.
Hearts?
Aye.
Okay. Nice.
Yep.
Desmond? I'll go 2 each.
No, you're good.
I'll go 2 each.
I think you'll.
Right.
I think one thing we do need to one thing I just would like to call out is Alan Forrest's performances over the last 3 or 4 games. He was absolutely done on Saturday. And if Alan Forrest listens to this particular podcast, well done, Alan Forrest. You gave everything on Saturday.
Just scores goals.
Yeah.
He's never going to be glamorous. I said it before that he scores more goals than anybody else that plays in those positions, and was never given the luxury of being given game after game after game to get into a rhythm or whatever. He's Marmite. He's not going to be brilliant week on week. He's not the greatest player. He boils my blood at points when he runs across the 18-yard box and doesn't do anything. And I'm like, shoot, throw in. Brilliant. Cool. But aye, fair play.
No.
Fair play. Right. Like I said, we're making steady progress. I think we all got a bit giddy after the European performance more than the result. I think the performance against Nicosia was sensational. And then we've kind of reverted to type a little bit at points. But 7 points out of a possible 12, is that right?
Yeah.
In the league?
Dropped 5.
Yeah. So we're there or thereabouts. We're showing the signs of recovery, which is all we really asked for. So it's not all doom.
I think after Sunday, it's a good time to have an international break. It'll be a good time to have.
Well, aye, but I've said before, the 2 people that need the international break the most are going to be on the international break. Shankland, just whatever it is in this formation, Shankland needs a Shankland to play alongside him, because the intricate passing, the vision, they've been able to turn the ball around the corner quickly, is all the stuff that Shankland can do, but none of them can do back to him. So he's making runs, he's dropping deep, he's going short, he's coming long, and no one can get him the ball. And Shankland needs a Shankland to play alongside him, so he needs time to play in that shape and all that. And the other is Craig Gordon. I've said before that you look at Casper Schmeichel at Celtic, look at Joe Hart at Celtic, look at Allison, look at what's the guy that plays and goes for Emerson or Ederson? that plays and goes for Man City, Craig Gordon needs to be 20 yards off his line, being as a out ball. So, and I know people complain about the ball going from Penrice to Kent to Rouse to whoever on the right hand side. Watch Celtic, Liverpool, Man City play when their goalkeeper's on 30 yards. He's that pass. So it goes Penrice to Gordon to Ogie. They miss out the centre halves in 2 passes, and that's how they beat any form of press. We obviously have a goalkeeper that doesn't want the ball at his feet, is not comfortable with the ball at his feet. It's why Brendan Rodgers never kept him at Celtic, because he needs him to be sweeper keeper. He needs him to be there to play the passes, because it brings the whole team further up the park. If you always have to give the ball back to your keeper as an out and your keeper's in his 18-yard box, it gives the opposition players yards to move up into. Whereas if your goalkeeper is there and is getting about 30 yards outside of his box, then it keeps them pressed in their own half without an out. So the 2 players that could really do with playing in this system and learning how to play in this system are both going to be in international duty. So, but it is a good break. I agree. If we can go in it and with a bit of positivity, I'm not saying win at Ibrox, but if we can get a draw or a good performance and get SFA'd, then fine. It's better than getting absolutely spanked and then sitting for 10 days going, brilliant, the next game's against Celtic.
Correct.
Cool. Right, on that cheery note, well, that was fun, wasn't it? Sorry, everybody that's listening. I tried my best to stay positive. I tried my best.
It's better than I expected, I'm going to say.
Make sure you get a good night's sleep and try and get this out.
Don't worry. We've got Thursday and Sunday to reflect on the next podcast, so I'm sure it's going to be sunshine and rainbows for us all. Right, boys, thank you. I'll see you all on Thursday.
Cheers, man.
Catch you later.
Corgaroos.